you ever drawn a character design that you just became obsessed with that you kinda just drew it again and again and again and, well, you get the point. That's what happened to me with my new 3.0 VTuber model. I fell in love with the design and found myself wanting more. Now, doing the same style over and over again is good and all, but I wanted a little more of a challenge, so I quite literally found a challenge to draw my VTuber in 10 different art styles. I looked at 10 of my favorite series, broke down how they're designed, and attempted to replicate the style. Let's jump on in and look at these new designs. The first style I wanted to tackle was the Has-Been Hotel style. I remember seeing bits and pieces of the pilot before it came out in 2019, and I loved Vivziepop's Die Young animation. This is definitely the most drastic looking change, as the Has-Been Hotel style uses a ton of red and pinks since the show was based in Hell. Yes, there are some characters that branch from red like Box, but I wanted to make her look like she'd exist within the show, so I left out the lavender and teal in the design. I used Valentino and Mimsy as the main references, and as Valentino is based on a moth and Mimsy is blonde with a more curvy appearance. I also like how Valentino uses his wings to cover himself in his design, so I did something similar where the wings act as the skirt of the dress. I ended up giving her 2 sets of arms to mimic other insect characters like Angel Dust and Valentino. One of the major things I kept in mind when putting this together was that I needed to keep it simple to understand so it could be easy to replicate for animation, which is something I'm not super used to as I tend to do more detailed illustrative pieces. Another thing that also shows up with some of the other styles is that there is no shading, as it cuts costs when animating a flat-colored character, and lighting is usually only used for specific instances. Finishing this up, I had to correct a couple things post-recording, but here's the finished Midnight from Has-Been Hotel. Should I decide to do another style challenge, maybe I'll try Has-Been again, but doing a look from Heaven instead. That could be fun. For those who have known me for a bit, you should know that I've been a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog for years, and it just felt right to attempt to imitate the style, specifically the Sonic Adventure 2 style developed by Yuji Uekawa. With dark shading gradients and striking highlights, I used Rouge, Charmy, and Jewel the Beetle from the IDW comics as my main references, as I haven't seen a butterfly character yet. I was able to keep this version's outfit very similar to the model's current outfit with some simplification here and there, like not including the braid. I will admit, the wings do make the silhouette a little difficult to work with, so there may have to be a thing where she hides her wings in her jacket or something when not in use. I used to make Sonic OCs all the time as a kid and even used my Husky Puppy OC as my sort of internet persona for a while, so doing a Sonic character again after so long felt super nostalgic. I've been keeping up with the series for a while and I'm so excited to see what they have planned for the 35th anniversary this year. Finishing this up, there are a couple spots that could use some polishing, but I think it fits pretty well and I think she could be a very vibrant addition to Sonic's world. For our next style, I got back into my Animal Crossing kick with the recent 3.0 update to New Horizons, so I wanted to try looking at the Animal Crossing style. I started playing with the Animal Crossing series back when they had Happy Homes Designer back on the 3DS, and I just loved all the cute characters. When New Horizons released, my whole family was hooked on the game for like 6 months since we were able to live on the same island together. Now, back to the artwork, one of the main issues is that there really aren't 2D renderings of Animal Crossing characters, so I decided to attempt a line artless piece and use just colors, which looking at the final result did turn out half bad. For the animal, I decided to make her a deer villager since there aren't any butterfly villagers, and as a kid, I took a what kind of animal are you quiz and ended up with a deer, so that's always been in the back of my mind. I gave her a cute butterfly accessory to make up for it, Getting used to my lavender purple as her main color was also a highlight. Let's be honest, she'd probably be one of the peppy types of villagers, or maybe the big sister type? I don't know, but she ended up pretty cute. I really debated on whether or not to do this style, but with how much Little Pony has started to appear on my feed for no reason, I thought it would make sense to do the style here. My sister was the one who was obsessed with the show growing up, and looking at the series again as an adult, I'm honestly surprised that I didn't get super into it too. I think I was just a little too old at the time to be interested in talking horses, which is kinda ironic since I like Sonic, but maybe if they weren't ponies like elves or something, I would have been more into it. But the writing for a kid's show is actually really good, so it kind of feels like I missed out. So we're gonna make up for it today, and my character turned out insanely cute. I thought about making her a princess to be a little self-indulgent, but when I really thought about it, that sounds like a lot of responsibility and I didn't want to worry about it, so I just made her a unicorn because magic is cool. Now, imitating the style meant coloring in the line art, and I did initially add in the gradient for the pink and purple, but I ended up looking at other ponies and saw that they preferred to use flat stripes and shapes instead of gradients, which I imagined was to help with the animation consistency. I also simplified my butterfly design to add it in as the cutie mark. Speaking of said cutie mark, I wonder what her special talent would be. Artwork, sure, but I don't know how a butterfly would symbolize that. As a fan of all things magical, I knew I wanted to do the Owl House created by Dana Terrace. This is one of those instances where I didn't have access to the show very easily, but was hooked on the premise and tried to watch what I could through clips. I did finally get to watch the full show once it was put on Disney Plus, though. I adore Ida's character and wish we could have gotten more of the show. The Demon Realm was so fun to see, and I knew that my witch would have a butterfly palisman for her magic. I totally want to make a little text-to-speech mascot for my streams and name her Jewel, so this palisman is named Jewel. To fit the style of the show, I took out the pink coloring to simplify things and turned the jacket into a robe. I used Willow and Odalia as body type references for this one. I'd imagine she'd be part of the Oracle Coven, as I'd always found fortune-telling, astrology, and tarot cards to be really interesting. But here is Midnight as a witch. Now, this is the style I decided to get self-indulgent with. As someone who is obsessed with gemology and just likes using gemstones in my designs, I honestly hate that I wasn't able to watch more of the show since I didn't have cable TV to watch it when it was airing, just like the Owl House. I got stuck with YouTube clips, but the base premise of sentient gemstones is what drew me in, and the incredible story of self-love is what got me to stay. For my gem design, I made a diamond character since it's my birthstone, and I absolutely adore blue and pink diamonds designs. Since my main brand color is a lavender purple, I went with a purple diamond. To obtain the color palette, I ended up using a color mode layer over my diamond design and color picked from there. I did forgo all of the butterfly imagery to fit in better with the Steven universe. Well, universe? While this design is absolutely gorgeous, I'ma be honest, and personally, I think my personality fits a pearl better, which, dang, I should have totally drawn her pearl, but oh well. Behold her radiance, that is purple diamond. Now it's time for a more detailed looking style. My all-time favorite Zelda game is Twilight Princess, so I wanted to see what it would look like if my VTuber were a Hylian in that specific style. I played this game on the Wii when I was really young, and I've been obsessed with the character Midna, so much so that my current cat is named after her. I almost turned my character into a Twily, but considering that Midna really is the only Twily character, I figured it would be more realistic to make her a Hylian instead. Using Telma for the body reference and then Ilya, Agatha, and Colin's mom as outfit references, I came up with a design that fits pretty well. I was a little worried that I might have needed to mute the colors out a little, but Agatha is actually pretty vibrant, so I kept things colorful. There are also a lot of patterns on the clothing as well, so I added in some lace and geometric patterns to give more detail. This would probably look awesome as a 3D model. I almost wonder if she'd work as like a relative of Agatha or a merchant of some kind that Link can encounter in Castletown. When I came up with this idea, I knew I wanted to do a superhero of some kind, as superpowers are just super cool. That's why they're super. Anyways, I debated on what superhero series to do, but looking at the styles, I wanted to start simple, so I went with My Hero Academia. This is another series that my sister was more into than I was, but I did watch everything through season 4, and I enjoy the premise. For this design, I looked at multiple of the female heroes, and I even took some inspiration from knights. I love knights so much, you guys have no idea. I did take out the pink in this one too, since the other characters didn't get too color heavy. Midnight Butterfly still works as a hero name, so I'm keeping it like that, and the quirk is Dream Butterfly, a mutation quirk that gives her wings and antenna, and when someone touches her scales, they become drowsy and fall asleep, so I imagine she would be quite the hero. Time to catch 'em all with this next style. I adore Pokemon, so I just had to become a Pokemon trainer. Another series that I've been obsessed with since I was very young, Pokemon has been one of those series that I've consistently gone back to for their creature designs and character outfits. For this style, I actually started using a brush that didn't use pressure, and I'm kicking myself in the butt for not realizing to do that sooner with the other styles, but I've learned my lesson. For the outfit, I ended up just simplifying it and using a Vivillon pattern for the hair accessory. Now, I had to include my all-time favorite Pokemon Gardevoir, so she's in here as well. Now, while this design is just meant to be your standard Pokemon trainer, I'd probably try to be in the artist trainer class. This is probably the style that's the closest to my own, so this one was pretty easy to figure out. Now, last but certainly not least, I wanted to attempt to make a Kingdom Hearts stained glass piece. Kingdom Hearts is what I would describe as a fever dream series for me. I was introduced to it as a really young kid, as I couldn't even read yet, but its opening tutorial forever haunted me as Sora travels along the stained glass of the princesses. Essentially, it was a weird, surreal experience. I did end up finishing Kingdom Hearts 3 as a teen, and then a couple years ago, I got through the majority of the game, so it's not as feverish to me anymore, but I still find Sora and the universe so endearing, even though the story doesn't make a lick of sense! Now, to get back to the artwork, my model's current outfit actually fits the art style well, so all I really did was change the face and add details to the braid. I kept thinking about whether or not to have her sleeping like Sora, but I saw that for characters like Aqua, they do have their eyes open, so I kept the eyes open here. What's fun with this piece is that the longest part was actually the stained glass pattern in the back. I ended up tracing over Sora since it looks like they all had the standard pattern, so I wanted it to look as accurate as possible. By the time I got to filling in the 3 circles, 3 hours had passed and my hand was cramping, so I ended up just importing drawings of my friends to fill in the spaces, as my friends filled the spaces in my heart. Honestly, I think this piece turned out gorgeous. I am very tempted to print this out for my room. Woo, that was quite the exercise. It was quite the puzzle to break down each of the style's components and attempt to put my own spin on them, but I think I did really well. Now, I should have hopefully gotten all this Midnight 3.0 drawing out of my system so I can move on to different projects. Speaking of said projects, I've got more videos in development, so feel free to like the video and hit subscribe if you would like to see what new designs and video projects I have in the works. This was a lot of fun to do, and it'd be cool to do another little style challenge. Maybe next time I'll do like 5 instead of 10. But it was still a ton of fun to do, and I just want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time for my next video project. Thanks a bunch!